What's up, friends? Welcome into another episode of the 3Ts podcast and this Week 8 preview of Bills at Panthers. So happy to have you aboard for this game preview. I'm your host, TB. Thank you all very much for stopping in and checking out the podcast. So much to get to, so much to cover in this Week 8 game preview, so let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in. What are we previewing? We are previewing Bills at Panthers this Sunday, October 26th, coming at you live at 1 p.m. in Charlotte, North Carolina. So a few news and notes from the week. Let's look at those pesky power rankings, shall we? They're out after 7 weeks of football in the NFL. And Bills, well, how are they looking in the power rankings? Not too great after losing 2 straight games to the Patriots and then the Falcons. The Bills have fallen down the rankings. For the first 4 weeks, we were sitting right around number 2. You know, consensus had us usually falling in right behind the Philadelphia Eagles. And now if you take a look at the same publications, we are ranked anywhere from 5th all the way down to 9th. I've seen us at 7, 8, 9, and 5. So losing 2 games in a row, yeah, it tends to cause a little chaos, not only from the fan base, but throughout the whole NFL. So the issue I see with these rankings, not that they mean anything, but the way I'm looking at this is even if we come out and just crush the Panthers, unless it's like 50-0, I don't really see the Bills skyrocketing right back up to the top of the charts until after the Chiefs game. And that's only, in my opinion, if they win it. So look, it's a fun exercise. I just like to see what people nationally think of the Bills, what all these publications think of us. And right now, like I said, we are plummeting down the rankings. So hopefully we can hold steady and come back and beat this Panthers team. So what else? As of the recording of this episode, so it is now, Wednesday at 4:30 in the afternoon, the Bills have yet to make a trade to help improve their roster. And it's been a crazy bye week. Obviously, now's the time as we're approaching the trade deadline that the rumors start flying. The Bills have been rumored to be linked to so many players over the last week. And as always, most of it's kind of nonsense, but it's always fun. I like to dive in and see, hey, who recently are the Bills been linked to? Historically, it's always been a running back, which is kind of crazy, but some of the names I've heard floated in the last week and a half, Tyreek Hill, which is insane to me. Don't want that. Jalen Waddle, Jacoby Myers, reunion with good old Rasul Douglas. Budda Baker is one of the latest ones I've seen. Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, the 2 New Orleans wide receivers. Cam Britt Taylor, Rick Woolen, and the newest name that I just saw today for the first time was none other than Calvin Ridley. So for me, on the offensive side, I would try to narrow this down to Olave and Waddle and possibly Shaheed, but only because Shaheed would kind of serve as a dual purpose for us, and he would kind of double as our kick return, punt return, because I think we are in kind of a desperate situation. Brandon Codrington has just not been good this year in that role, so if we do go after a wide receiver, obviously I would love to have Chris Olave. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know I've been talking about him for weeks now. And Jalen Waddle would be fantastic, but I don't see that happening. Shaheed, if we have to go down a notch, he's got speed and he doubles as a kick returner, punt returner. So I see it as being a win-win. Defensively, if we're looking to make a splash, looking to make a big trade, if it's an option and we can get Budda Baker from Arizona, that would be insane, but I just don't see that happening at all. What else we want to talk about? Well, it's shaping up to be a 2-horse race in the AFC East with the Patriots currently out in front of the Bills in the AFC East standings. And Bills Mafia, along with the media members nationwide, everyone seems to be going into freaking total meltdown mode, thinking the world is imploding. I don't know. It's crazy, Mafia. Can we try to relax, people? Because look, the Jets and Dolphins, to put them out of the equation, they are vying and duking it out and vying to be probably 2 of the worst teams in the entire league. But it's week 8. It's week 8. We are 4-2. I understand Drake May is good. And yeah, he may have arrived on scene a bit quicker than Bills fans would have hoped for. But let's relax a little. Let's see how this plays out over the next 2 months. Maybe, just maybe, this is kind of the way I'm looking at this, trying to be positive. Maybe, just maybe, it's good for the Bills to have a little competition in the division and kind of keep them in check, kind of keep them focused, kind of keep them like with their eyes on the prize, because what's happened the last Last year, we had clinched the division by week 11, and it was just crazy. The teams were one dumpster fire after another. So we're not going to clinch by week 10, week 11, week 12 anymore. And that's okay. Competition is sometimes a good thing. And I think competition should help push this team forward a little bit. So let's move on to injuries, what to look for from the Bills injury front. Josh Palmer, well, he came out firing at the beginning of that Falcons game. He caught, 2 passes for 60-some yards, and then he goes and hurts his ankle, and he's out the rest of the game, and the game we go into total meltdown mode, and we have no backup plan, and you all know what happens after that. But he hurt his ankle, so he's still considered week to week, which whenever a player gets a week to week designation, it usually isn't looking too promising for the upcoming game. I am thinking that this is probably not looking too good for Josh Palmer, but we shall see. Dalton Kincaid, he was obviously another huge missing factor to that game. He hurt his oblique a couple weeks back. He missed the Falcons game, and signs are pointing in the right direction. He seems to be closer to returning. He's listed as questionable so far, and I guess if I had to bet, I would guess he's back out there this Sunday. Curtis Samuel, stop me if you've heard this one before. Curtis Samuel is on the injured list. Yeah, so I don't want to talk about it. Let's just keep going. Move on. Curtis Samuel, I just can't anymore. Daquan Jones, he's also listed week to week. We all know he got hurt in the pregame warm-up against the Falcons, and he allegedly popped his calf. Most likely, he's probably not going to play either. Matt Milano, we've been talking about this for weeks. He can never stay healthy. He's still dealing with his oblique. He re-aggravated it, I believe, was the Patriots game, the first half. So who knows at this point? I don't even know what to say about Milano. I would be shocked if he suited up for this game, but hey, stranger things have happened. Good news, depending on, I guess, how y'all want to look at it. The Bills did open up their 21-day practice window for first-round pick cornerback Maxwell Hairston, which means he is probably going to be activated within the next 3 weeks. Not crossing my fingers, but please be ready to go next weekend against the Kansas City Chiefs. That would be awesome. So yeah, come on, Max, get yourself back out on that field. We need some speed in that secondary. Injuries on the Panthers. This is the main storyline coming into this game. Quarterback Bryce Young suffered an ankle injury against the Jets last week, and it's looking like he is at least going to miss this game, probably another week or two. And the keys are going to be handed over to none other than 15-year vet Andy Dalton. Now, Andy Dalton has a lot of ties to Buffalo and to Bills Mafia, specifically in 2017. If you remember this, he was the quarterback on the Bengals that helped propel the Mafia and the Bills into the playoffs after the 17-year drought. So he helped beat the Ravens and thus securing the Bills playoff spot. So he's kind of well-liked as far as Bills history is concerned, but he's not going to be well-liked this Sunday because we need a big dub. Damian Lewis, he's a guard for the Panthers. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. He missed week 7. We shall see what happens as we get closer to kickoff. Not sure about his availability. Chuba Hubbard, the running back, I think he's going to play. He played in week 7. Obviously, he's been dealing with a calf injury, but he was back last week, and I don't think this is going to be an issue at all. I'm sure more names will pop up on the Panthers injury list, but that's all I have for you right now on that front. So what are some themes? What are some storylines heading into this game against the Panthers? Well, first and foremost, Michael Hoyt, Larry Ogunjobi, they are back, folks. I am super excited about this. 2 of the big offseason signings, 2 of the big defensive additions to this team are finally done serving their 6-game suspensions. They should be fresh. They should be ready to go. And if I'm, a betting man, I would think they got a lot of aggression to start taking out. So, in my opinion, this is a huge addition to the squad, specifically the defensive side of the ball. Let's just think about it for a second. Like, what does this actually mean? So, for a good chunk of the snaps on the defensive side, you were having practice squad players, you were having rookies account for so many snaps so far in the year, so many snaps during the first 6 weeks. So, we add 2 fresh bodies. These guys are clear starters in the league. They have a good history behind them. These allow the depth chart to kind of reset, pushes the young guys who probably weren't ready to go, the practice squad guys, pushes them back down the list. Plus, it adds fresher guys into the rotation. You should keep everybody on almost like a lower snap count now that you're adding more people to the group. Obviously, we know about Daquan, but I just see this as a win-win. I think ultimately this is going to impact the whole defensive side of the ball. I'm super, super excited to get these guys back. The preseason, they were looking pretty good, pretty sharp. So big expectations for these guys. Can't wait to see what they bring to the table. What else? In the Sean McDermott era, coming off a bye, the Bills are perfect. They are 8-0 during his coaching tenure. That's right. So they have never lost a game coming out of the bye week. And I think that the bye week this year has come at an absolute perfect time during the season. I know some people say, well, maybe it's a little early. No. We're going through a little slide. We were dealing with some injuries. Everything was starting to look a little out of whack, a little disjointed. Nothing seemed to be easy. There was no flow, yada, yada. You get it. I think it was a perfect time to hit the reset button. Hopefully that's what happened over the course of the last 2 weeks. If they were smart, if the Bills were smart, they did some deep dives into what's worked, what hasn't worked. They got refocused. They maybe did a complete game redesign. They looked at the game plan moving forward. What's working, what's not? How do we get everybody on the same page, all the coaches, McDermott, Bobby Babich, Joe Brady, get them all on the same page and let's move forward together. What else? We already kind of talked about this, but the national narrative on the Bills has them in complete free fall mode. It's been absolute craziness watching publications and media, both nationally and locally. Some are saying this team is done and they're giving up the East and they're not going to make the playoffs. It's like, come on, we have gone way too far over a 2-game slide. And if you ask me, it's like we're in pure panic mode. So we need to come out of the bye week and just right the ship. Now, if we come out on Sunday against the Panthers and we look at this exactly the same as we did against the Patriots and the Falcons, okay, then we can start to maybe throw up some red flags. But I don't see that happening. I expect a completely different outcome this Sunday. What else? If we're talking about the AFC and the whole grand scheme of the things, the whole big picture, in my opinion, there are a lot more teams in the mix now for that top spot. Obviously, the Chiefs are looking completely different from the first 3 weeks. Everybody was writing off the Chiefs, and I'm like, yeah, better not do that, because we've seen this nonsense before. They look completely different. They're in full throttle mode. The Colts look great. Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor. Who would have thought Daniel Jones would be leading the Colts? But Jonathan Taylor is literally running over everybody. And the Patriots, while I'm not ready to hand them the AFC East crown, they do look like they're going to be sticking around as a definite playoff contender all season, and that can be tied directly to the early arrival of Drake May. He looks good. I mean, you can't argue he looks good, but let's just pump the brakes on handing them the division crown, okay? The Chargers, everyone was talking up the Chargers early in the season. Oh, these guys are a threat to the 1 seed. Well, how do we feel now that week 7 is over? Because here we go. We're seeing the Chargers show their true colors, and it's the same thing every year. People want to talk about them as the 1 seed, and it's the same old crap, same old stuff from the Chargers that we see every year. They're just going to keep being themselves. And then the Panthers, they come into this matchup sitting in second place in the NFC South Division. They are 4-3, and they are riding a crazy 3-game win streak after beating the Jets 13-6 in an absolute snooze fest. So I don't want to hear about how great they are. This is a team now. However, they did beat the Falcons by 30 points, and we got trucked by the Falcons. So, but this team is kind of all over the map. If you look through their schedule, their games so far, they're extremely inconsistent. They're kind of all over the place, which is kind of sort of to be expected for a team that's on the way up. They're kind of, on the rebound. They have some good pieces, but they got a lot to do to get back to the top. But having said that, this team does play pretty well at home, and this is huge. I really think the stadium, there are going to be a ton of Bills fans, not only in Charlotte, but in the stadium itself. And I think at worst, if I were a betting man, you're going to see half the stadium filled with Bills fans on Sunday. So while they do play well at home, I think it's not going to be too great of a home field advantage for them. And it would not shock me to see 70 to 80% of the stands filled with Mafia members. So there you go. All right, let's go on and talk about X factors to the game. X factors. So let's start with the offensive side of the ball. In my opinion, time to get back to what has worked. First 4 weeks, we came out, established a monster run game, and our passing game fed off of that. We ran 2-3 tight end sets sometimes. We were able to still throw out of this set, move the ball. We took what was given. We were patient. And guess what? No turnovers, no nonsense, no ridiculous penalties. So the first 4 weeks, what do we see as a byproduct of playing to our strengths? 30 points a game. The last 2 weeks, undisciplined, sloppy mess. If you've heard me, that's what I've said over and over and over again. Undisciplined, sloppy mess. Penalties, turnovers. We've abandoned the run game, and it's led to what? How do we do the last 2 weeks? 20 points and 14 points. So that should never happen with a team led by Josh Allen. It just shouldn't. So that's the first point. Joe Brady, guess what? You're back up on the X Factor list. I feel like I talk about him each and every time I'm doing this. I really hope the message has kind of sunk in to Joe Brady over the last 2 weeks. You can't go into these games with no flexibility. I feel like he has this game plan and that's it. There's no paying attention to what the defense is doing. He doesn't make adjustments. He's just like, nope, this is what we're going to run, and who cares what's happening in the actual game. So I don't know. He's got to make some corrections, have some like long walks on the beach. I don't know, whatever it takes, but he's got to get his head in the right place. If the defense is giving you portions of the field, take it. Stop trying to force the ball to players, particularly Keon Coleman, just because you think you need to get him touches during the game. Stop being cute and go back to leaning into the strengths of this team. Reestablish the line of scrimmage and then attack from there. I get it. We spent a high draft pick on Keon, but it's not working force feeding him the ball over and over and over again. It's just, I think we are misusing him. I really do. I think that needs to be looked at, whether it's over the bye week, whether they did, or whether they are going to be doing that in the offseason. I'm not saying he is not good. I think he can be good. I just think he's being misused, and there's a huge difference. So let's stop chucking it to Keon every time and hoping he jumps up on these 50-50 balls and comes down with it, because it's not working. What else? Get James Cook involved in the passing game. There's no reason at all, no reason whatsoever to have your most explosive offensive weapon be sitting on the sidelines. It seems like every other series, and specifically on third downs. I am so tired of this idea that he can't catch the ball, that he can't pass block. It's just ridiculous to me. And the fact that I'm hearing that he's not that good of a back from certain Buffalo radio stations, from certain... It's so mind-numbingly frustrating to hear some of the talk on James Cook. And I'm like, do you all watch the games? And people are still mad that he got a contract extension. That's all I can think of, that they wish we would have spent the money somewhere else. Well, guess what? It's not your money, number one. Number two, it's over and done with. And number three, he's one of our best players. So get him the freaking ball. If you get him the ball in space, good things happen every single time. He makes people miss. He's elusive. He's great. So do it. That's it. So frustrating, this James Cook nonsense. I just don't know what the problem is. Josh Allen, let's revert back to the way we played last season, shall we? I mean, you can play with patience and you can still make things happen. We can't win the game with one throw. We've seen him do this in earlier years when he was still coming into his own. We need Josh to get back into a good headspace, work through his progressions, and first and foremost, just take what the defense is giving you. Go through your progressions and find the open guy. Anyway, let's move on. Defense, this is key. The Panthers, they are a pretty good run team. Rico Dowdle is a freaking beast. He came in when Hubbard got hurt. He came in for 2 weeks and he destroyed it. He put up monster freaking numbers. Him by himself, he had like 400 yards of total offense. It's ridiculous. And then Hubbard came back and they kind of went with this two-headed running back monster approach, and he still performed. He still had like 70, 74 yards rushing. So he's a good player. Hubbard's a good player. This team can run the ball. They are no joke. And so I think it also helps that this is the perfect time we are getting defensive line reinforcements with Okunjobi and Hoyt coming back, because it's a perfect time to try to use them to slow down this attack. Who else do the Panthers have? Ted McMillan. Outside of the running game, McMillan, this is probably the only other weapon the Panthers have that really is a threat to us at all. And he's good. He is good. We shall see how his connection goes with Andy Dalton behind center. Obviously, he's having a pretty good rookie season so far with Bryce Young. But now what's going to happen with Andy Dalton behind center? I'm assuming Benford will try to float maybe, but who knows? Bills love to play zone, even though it's gotten them torched this year. When they switch to man, things seem to lock up a little bit. I don't know whether they're going to play zone or man, but if they are in man, I'm assuming Benford will be locked up on Tet for the whole game. So stress meter. It's been a tough 3 weeks. I will be honest with you. So dealing with back-to-back losses, you're hearing things about how we're getting trashed in the media. I'm reading crazy nonsense on social media through fellow Mafia members, and there's frustration everywhere. It would be super easy to have this stress meter riding really high for this game, but I got to be honest, folks, I'm not stressed about this game at all. I have faith in this team. I think we can find the answers. I think we can right the ship. I think we can get right back into it. So for me, this stress meter this week, it's sitting at a 3 heading into Charlotte. So prediction time. Here we go. This is what it's all about. The Bills are on the road, favored by 7.5 points in Charlotte, North Carolina for a 1 o'clock kickoff this Sunday afternoon. They will be rocking white jerseys up top, blue pants down below, and a white helmet. As I stated before, I think the Bank of America Stadium where the Panthers play, I think it's going to be filled with Bills Mafia. So, if you ever remember the Titans games, Bills Mafia travels extremely well to Nashville. I think this is going to be a similar situation. I think they arrive. I think we take over. And I think we shut down this 3-game win streak. The Panthers are coming in riding. I think the Bills use this as a get-right game. I think we come in with a huge attitude. I want to see a chip on the shoulder. I want to see some aggression. I want to see some attitude. I want to take the points, and I think the Bills are going to win big this Sunday. I got the Bills breaking through this little 2-game slide. I think they win 33-13. I think it brings us to 5-2 on the year. Then it's back home on Sunday night to rest up and prepare for the freaking Chiefs to come to town to good old Orchard Park next Sunday at 4:25. So there you have it. That's my game preview. I appreciate everybody stopping in and checking out the 3Ts podcast. If you would, help your boy out. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a follow, whatever it takes. Pass this on to another Mafia member. I appreciate you all very, very much. So until next time, whether it's ripping packs, breaking tables, or dropping elbows, keep doing what you love. And as always, go Bills.